Again, another different way of actually looking at it is obviously, looking at how we can impact the company. So we're effectively looking at the engagement aspect in terms of, well, how do we actually connect with the people out there? So we're using the likes of YouTube, we're using the likes of Facebook, and again, how do we then monitor the kind of conversations going on? It's very important as a company to continue, or as an organisation, to continue to listen to your customers, because ultimately they're the people that have actually made you successful. And if you become disconnected with them, then effectively you become less relevant to them, and therefore you'll lose out in the long term. This is kind of a triangulated engage, listen, measure to make sure effectively that whatever we do, we're making sure that it's having impact, and then we then modify our behaviour appropriately going forward. A few examples of our social media journey, as we call it. 3 key areas where effectively we found huge impact in our organisation. And again, this is not just relevant to Cisco. This would be relevant to any organisation that's trying to achieve these 3 goals, which is about reducing cost. It's about extending your reach, whether it's extending your reach beyond a city, into a country, into Europe or beyond, and also how you engage with your customers, your clients, or any of the organisations you have to deal with. So a couple of examples is how do we actually extend the reach? So we had a recent launch around a new product, and effectively, rather than just having a standard launch where we put it into the newspapers, into the IT press, we actually created what we call kind of a viral marketing campaign leading up to the actual launch, teasing people, tempting people about what it's going to be about and about what's going to be achievable, etc. And people liked that. They shared it. And all of a sudden, we got 1.6 million video views on this future of shopping. And if you haven't seen it, it's worth a look on Facebook or YouTube as it's on. We've also got 116 countries, for instance, that were actually tapped into to one of our launches. Again, we couldn't have achieved that worldwide launch in one hit. We would normally have had to do it over a phased approach. And it certainly would have cost us a lot more money than it did to achieve that. We've also got the ability for our senior executives and for the likes of myself, because I don't probably see myself as a senior executive within the organisation, but the ability for me to connect to my customers on an ongoing basis. And people do follow me, believe it or not. We have our CTO in the US, Moir, who has 1.4 million followers. So 0.4 more than, I was going to say me, but it's not me. But effectively, you've got a lot of people now tuning into what she's saying. And that's very, very powerful if she has an opinion on something and she's sharing that. And she also gets feedback, because people will then tweet back to her saying, well, I either agree or disagree, or what about this, or what about that sort of thing. So again, she's able to reach out to a huge population of our customers and our employees through that simple mechanism. And again, you can see the market in terms of when we started this back in kind of sort of 2007, when we started to do some blogs, all the way up to the rich level of communication that we now have achieved as an organisation. But none of these technologies is exclusive to Cisco. These are all available to all the organisations. There is obviously some concerns around security and things like that, and that's why we block it and things like that. Unfortunately, people will find other means of accessing social media, whether in the work environment. With the adoption of mobile devices such as iPhones and BlackBerries, very much now connected on 3G, wireless connections, etc., people will be doing this stuff within their own organisation. And if you're able to then open this up and provide a controlled mechanism and then start to use it from within your business, from a business perspective, then I think you'll start to see a huge benefit from that. One of the other things I wanted to touch upon was that video is very much becoming pervasive in terms of content that's being created and shared across the internet. If you look back in 1990, when the internet first came out, FTP, if anybody actually knows what that means, but basically a file transfer protocol where it allowed us to very manually transfer one file or groups of files between people or organisations, was a massive 57% of the internet. If you actually look at the how that has almost disappeared or is disappearing, and video is something that's actually growing. And it's currently around about 51% of the internet traffic. And again, these statistics come from places like the London Internet Exchange, where we can actually see this type of traffic, this traffic pattern on a daily basis. And it's envisaged within the next 2 to 3 years that will be between 70 and 80%, if not higher, going forward. And why is that? Well, again, let's bring back to devices like the iPhone. How easy is it to record a video? Cisco acquired a company called Flip, which effectively makes it very easy to record high-definition video, which the reason it's called Flip is you flip the switch, then a USB port comes out, which means I can plug it into my PC. It's got inbuilt software on this device that allows me to edit, to add credits, to basically add music to it, and then publish it straight to YouTube, Facebook, or something called FlipShare, which is a more kind of sort of industrial strength video sharing portal. So straight away, I could use this device from a business perspective. So think of the types of examples where you might want to use this. Supermarkets. When you walk into the supermarket and you actually look at all that nice product placement of the cereals and the yogurts in the fridges and stuff like that, that isn't just done by chance, though that actually has some method in it, shall we say, in terms of product placement to make sure the high brand products are located in one location, the low brand products in another. And they have specialists at head office that obviously work with people to work out how they should lay this stuff out. The normal process would be they would maybe take some pictures, they would maybe write some script, etc., formulate a document, and they would then publish it to all the stores. The person would then print that document off, and they'd be standing at the fridge trying to interpret what the person's actually tried to tell them at the other end. Supermarkets are now using this. So the person sets out the refrigeration or the shelves in the right format, and then uses the video and records and can speak into the video what it is that they've laid out, why they've laid it out, etc. While they're on the store, they can plug it into their tablet or into their PC, and they can then upload it onto the company's web sharing portal. And then somebody who's then got a tablet PC in the other branches can then immediately download that video, and they can see exactly what's going on. So the accuracy is much higher, and the time to do it is significantly reduced. Think of another example. Insurance assessments. So how many people basically on a daily basis are going out to people's homes, going out to garages to inspect damage on cars? There's a huge delay between that information coming back in, reports being written, people then back at the insurance companies actually doing the assessments before payout is made. Customers get very upset because their car's off the road for several days if they haven't got a hired one. You know, damage to their property isn't getting repaired quickly. Again, insurance assessors, given one of these, can again walk into people's homes, can actually walk into garages, and they can quickly take video recording of the damage. Again, they can annotate the messages onto the actual video itself. And again, they don't have to go back to the office. Again, quickly plugging it into the PC, they can upload that video information onto the customer's records. Immediately, the people within the insurance companies are able to see not just one picture, but 1,000 pictures effectively through this device to make a quick decision, to make a quick payout, and to get the customer either back on the road again or to get the repairs done to their property. And there's just a couple of examples. Another example perhaps would be estate agents. You know, the ability for people to actually get a walkthrough of a house. How many people have gone to look at a house and walked in and it looks nothing like the photographs? It's not what they were looking for. But again, for a estate agent, when somebody wants to sell their house, to walk in, to take, you know, almost 360 video footage of the rooms, the layout, etc., which could then be quickly uploaded with the prospectus onto solicitors or estate agents' website, which allows people to almost live in that home before they even go in to see it. And again, these devices, £100 with the software, allows you to basically provide that functionality. James, you ready? Okay.
Sorry, it was just a little bit slow, wireless networks.
Okay, so what we did, and this hopefully should work, is that James took a short flip video to show how easy it is, and then uploaded it to a device that's sitting within our network that then does something to it. So it doesn't just take the raw video and then just publishes it. It puts a little bit of a preamble on it, it puts a little bit of text on it, and it puts some music to it. Okay? So the idea being is that you can set this up as a kind of company profile, so that every time you upload a video, it always puts this prefix, the messaging on it, etc. So again, it makes it very, very... Another location that you may or may not be aware of is something called Ustream. So we had the gentleman from the BBC talking about, obviously, the traditional way of how broadcasters are using social media. But you've got a number of emergent companies, likes of Ustream, which is a free broadcast capability via the internet. So anybody in the room with a camera and a microphone can effectively sign up for free onto Ustream. So whether you're a budding music artist, whether you're somebody who basically wants to do a meeting or a presentation around business social media, then effectively you can subscribe to Ustream and effectively broadcast live to the internet. The good thing with Ustream, which is a little bit different to your traditional television broadcast, is that your audience can interact with you. So as part of my research, I was actually tuned into a music artist who was actually jamming with another lady, and on that you were actually getting people commenting in terms of the music, the content, whether they liked it or not. I know it's a very simple example, but they were actually interacting with their audience through Ustream. And again, it's freely available for anybody that wants to actually use it. Cisco uses it regularly as a means of sending out information in terms of our results, talking about technologies, and in fact there is actually a social media session actually up there pre-recorded from one of the earlier broadcasts from an expert in the US. So again, that information, if you miss the broadcast, people can still tune into it a little bit like YouTube. But again, another location that's probably worth having a look at. You're probably not going to get a huge number of people tuning into you the first time you do it. But again, if it's something, the content's relevant, and again, through the other social medias, through like Twitter and Facebook, people actually think it's worth tuning into that, then your audience would potentially grow over time. One last example. Obviously, as a passionate Scot, always looking for good examples of how technology, or the internet, can actually be used. So this ScotWeb, and again, I'm not affiliated in any way, nor is any of my family to ScotWeb, but effectively they are a company who sell kilts, tartan, etc. But obviously they're looking at a much bigger global market. One of the challenges, if you've ever actually gone for a fitting for a kilt, is actually it's a strange piece of clothing you have to wear because it doesn't fit like a pair of trousers or anything else that you have before. So if you're going to order something over the internet, and it's quite a big investment, or it certainly was when I bought my kilt, it's something you want to get right. You don't want to get it missized. You don't want it only to be that size when you need it that size and the waist size, etc. So what ScotWeb have done have actually, again, using technology such as YouTube, have actually recorded a number of videos. One of them is actually a fitting video. So this I'm actually sitting, for instance, in the US, and I know how passionate that the people in America are about Scotland and perhaps wanting to wear the tartan of their clan that they may have come from in the past. But how do they actually know how to get their kilt fitted? And this is taking a bit of time. But effectively what the video shows is a fitting guide in terms of how to take the measurements, where to take the measurements, etc. And it's annotated, it uses some PowerPoint slides, and it also uses some video. And you can tell that it's not something that's probably been produced in a studio, but it gives you exactly what you need to make sure you get your measurements right. So when you place the order and put your measurements in, when the product arrives, shipped all the way from Scotland over to the US, or any other place for that matter, you can be sure that the kilt will actually fit. Unfortunately, that's not going to work, which is a shame. So, conscious that obviously time's ticking on, and I'm keen to obviously leave you with a few ideas as to what potentially you could do to get yourself started. As I said, there was the ladder of participation, and I'm not expecting you for you to all walk out here and just jump straight in there. What's relevant for some companies is going to be completely different for another organisation. What Cisco does is not going to be relevant to everybody within the room. But I think what I'm trying to show you here is that getting involved, getting active effectively within social media is not that hard to do. As I say, you can pick up these devices, or you can use your existing phone device, to start recording video. You can start participating in things like LinkedIn Today, and you can start to tune in to some of the conversations and groups and start to participate perhaps going forward. But I think what you'll find is if when you start to do that, I'm not saying this is at the exclusion of everything else that you traditionally do. I think it's as well as, and I think there'll be a balance, there'll be a tipping point where effectively the traditional media will start to become less and less, and you'll start to do more, if you like, within the business social media side of things. When that tipping point will occur, well, it's in our hands, because effectively it's what preference we chose. So thank you for that.